Hello viewer. Today we will going to start the series on ethnobotany. Myself Professor Suresh Kumar, working as professor in Department of Botany, Ramjas College, University of Delhi since 2005. We will discuss in this part the definition of ethnobotany, history of ethnobotany, scope of ethnobotany and application of ethnobotany. The field ethnobotany comes from two words. Ethnology means the study of culture and botany means the study of plants. Thus, the ethnobotany is the study of how different human society use plant as part of their integral culture. Ethnobotany is relevant to traditional medicinal science. In its totality, the subject involves anthropology, sociology, botany, and of course, medicinal and economic botany. Ethnobotany is an interdisciplinary science which includes aspects of both sciences and humanities. This branch of science makes connections between human culture, practices and the subdiscipline of biology, hereby serving as gateway of many different disciplines. Thus, modern ethnobotany is an interdisciplinary field drawing together scholars from anthropology, botany, archaeology, geography, medicine, linguistics, economics, landscapes, architecture and of course pharmacology. Ethnobotany is the study of people and plant relationship. Ethnobotany gives the exotic foods, fiber, medicine, latex and sun-dry other plant and fungal products. The term non-timber forest products which is known as NTFPS are finding ready market in the more developed world. This includes use for food, clothing, currency, rituals, religious ceremonies, dyes, construction, ornamentation and health care medicine. In the past, ethnobotany has emphasized on the relationship and interaction between plant and people in traditional tribal or non-Western cultures. Today, ethnobotanical study also includes all culture areas including Western people who utilize plants in folk medicine or traditional remedies in contradiction to the use of conventional medicine, that is biomedicine or modern medicine, to treat the illness and injuries. Ethnobotany encompasses both plant knowledge, that is commonly known by all individuals belonging to a scientific cultural group, as well as plant knowledge that is only known by specialists within that group, such as shamans, healers and bone setters. Ethnobotany in broad sense may be defined as relationship between people and plants. It may also be defined as the scientific study of interaction between human cultures and plants. This definition has been given by Turner in 1995. Subsequently, Schultz 1962 defined the ethnobotany as the study of relationship which exist between people of primitive societies and their plant environment. Ethnobotanists basically who study the ethnobotany is known as ethnobotanist, and ethnobotanists document, describe and explain complex relationship between people and how they used and manage plant as economic and medicinal resources. Ethnobotanists also record the rituals and ceremonial uses of plant in society, discussing the role that a scientific plant or set of plants within a cultural group. Ethnobotanists continue to search for novel botanical products, especially drug plants. These bioprospecting effects have yielded considerable pharmaceutical success. Ethnobotanists seek to understand the process of domestication and diffusion of crop plant. In addition, ethnobotanists note that similar uses, ideas or cultural perceptions surrounding a specific plant are shared among the several distinct cultural groups across a longer region such as continents. Even in areas where traditional peoples hold dissimilar belief about illness, caution, treatment and curing within a single region, that is the diverse tribal group of a Amazon basin, ethnobotanists have often noted that each tribal group uses any of the same plant medicinally to treat the same illness, notwithstanding cultural differences in belief about illness and healing. This term has been coined by J. W. Hershberger. J. W. Hershberger was an American botanist who specialized in plant geography, ecology and plant pathology. He taught at the University of Pennsylvania for more than 35 years. He was an ardent plant conservationist and his credit with coining the term ethnobotany. Richard Evans Schultz is known as father of modern ethnobotany. The dawn of human culture and civilization emerged nearly 12,000 years ago. According to social anthropologists and botanists, cultivation of plants started somewhere on the bank of the river Tigris and Euphrates in the present day's Iraq by a small human community. Dr. S.K. Jain is well-known ethnobotanist, is known as father of Indian ethnobotany because of his work. He has done lot of work in the field of ethnobotany. An institute of ethnobiology has been established in the name of Professor S.K. Jain in Jivaji University, Gwalior. He died due to COVID-19 at the age of 94. He was born in Amroha, Uttar Pradesh, India. He belongs to a farmer family. This picture is a lady who has done the PhD in botany. She was the first lady, Janki Ammal, known as the pioneer botanist and cytogenetist. Janki Ammal is credited with putting sweetness in India, sugarcane varieties, speaking against the hydroelectric project in Kerala, Silent Valley and phenomenal study of chromosome of thousands of species of flowering plants. There is even a flower named after her, a delicate bloom in pure white called Mangonia combus Janki Ammal. The beginning of cultivation of plant was indeed a very revolutionary discovery. For the first time in the history of earth, one of its species was able to produce food by domesticating and ultimately cultivating them. By trial or error, they have perfected the cultivation of edible plants and plants for treating ailments or alleviating human suffering. Within 5,000 years of discovery of cultivation, a large number of human communities began to advanced very fast and they established a new pattern of human habitat by clearing forest. By 6000 BC, there were well established civilization in many parts of world, the well known among them being Babylonian, Egyptian, Chinese, Indian and South American civilization. All these civilizations were built by agricultural societies who got more lesser time that stimulated them to build material culture and civilization. Thus, human communities in the world over have selected over 10,000 plant species as source of his food. These included many grains, millets, tubers, rhizomes, which forms his main energy source, and lentil, pulses, nuts, fruits, leaves of many plant species. Many communities selected the best nourishing food items. In fact, the brain development of human were closely associated with certain species, protein, amino acids and fatty acids. Human communities went on generating new knowledge and these were passed on the successive generation, which is now known as traditional knowledge. The beginning of colonization, which started in 16th century, that lead to globalization of food and diet during 18th century and 19th century, the colonial power of the West, who reached the biodiversity rich South countries, began to make intercontinental exchange of plants, which predominantly included the edible plants. The most undesirable outcome of this globalization of food was the narrowing down of the food basket by the world population. In the whole world, humans began to be fed by 20 edible plants by the turn of 19th century against over 7,000 or more species that provided food and nutrition to the human till the turn of the 18th century. It believed that until 1.5 million years ago, almost 99.9% of time of human life was spent in the forest. It was during this long period that the ancient progenitor of humans tested the articles around him, mainly plants, for his food and nutrition. By a process of trial, error, experimentation, or by empirical reason or intuitions, etc., human tested and selected plants and animals for new source of food, nutrition and medicine. Hundreds of them might have died while doing the testing, eating of poisonous plants and animals product during such clinical trials. It was mainly for preventing or treating the disease and for food that man had started exploring plants and animals, and that have led to the evolution of traditional system of medicine. The traditional system in India functions through two social streams. Number one is the local folk stream, which is prevalent in rural and tribal villages of India. The carrier of these traditions are millions of housewives, thousands of traditional birth attendants, bone settlers, practitioners skilled in acupressures, treatment of eyes, snake bites, etc., and the traditional village level herbal physician, generally called as Vedas, or tribal physician in the tribal area. These local health traditions thus represents an autonomous community supported system of health delivery at the village level, which runs parallel to the state supported system. Its potential goes largely unnoticed because of dominant Western medicines. The second point, or we can say the second level of traditional health system, is the scientific or classical systems. This consists of codified and organized medical wisdom with sophisticated theoretical foundations and philosophical explanation, which are expressed in thousands of classical and regional manuscripts covering treatises on all branches of medicine and surgery. The systems like Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Amchi, Tibetan, etc. are expression of this stream. Now we will discuss about the different branches of ethnobotany, or we can say the branches of ethnobiology: archaeoethnobotany, paleoethnobotany, ethnotaxonomy, ethnoecology, ethnogynecology, ethnomycology, ethnonecrotics, ethnopharmacology, ethnotoxicology, ethno-ophthalmology, ethno-cosmetics, ethnomusicology. All these are the different branches of biology or ethnobotany. We will go one by one. Archaeoethnobotany, it is the study of identification of the plant material from archaeological sites to understand human culture and origin, dispersal and domestication of crop, etc. By studying farming practices of the past or examining fossilized plant or human remains, researchers are able to determine what plants were used by ancient civilization. Paleoethnobotany deals with the identification of fossilized plant material and remains for studies on ancient plant economy, paleobotanical history of crops, and changing pattern on the use of plants life by human cultures. Ethnotaxonomy deals with the naming and classification of plants and their cultivars and animals and their races by human societies in their language. Ethnoecology, study of the past and present interrelationship between human societies and their living and non-living environment. We all know about the living and non-living environment. Living is means the biotic environment and non-living means abiotic environment. Deals with primitive concepts, relationship and care of environment, the impact of worship of certain trees or mythological association and taboos with certain species contribute to conservation and fall within the scope of ethnoecology. Ethnomedicine, it is the field of ethnobotany that deals with the study of traditional medicines, not only those with relevant written sources, that is traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, but also those knowledge and practices have been orally transmitted over the centuries from one generation to the another generation. Ethnomedicine is an area of research that deals with medicine derived from plants, animals, minerals, etc., and used in the treatment of various diseases and ailments based on indigenous pharmacopoeia, folklore and herbal calms. Ethnomedicine, due to its huge applicability in curing disease, drug discovery and development, major pharmaceutical companies and researchers are now referring themselves to various olden practices of using plants for treating ailments. Ethnomedical investigations have led to development of important drugs such as aspirin, a treatment of hypertension, podophylotoxin, the base of important anti-cancer drug, and the viblentine used in the treatment of certain cancers. Ethnogynecology, it is the study which deals with various diseases related to women's reproductive health, sterility, conception, abortion, etc. in various human societies. Santalum album known as Chandan, Terminalia arjuna known as Arjuna, Revolvia serpentina known as Sarpagandha, aloe vera, Lawsonia inermis known as Mehendi, Ocimum sanctum known as Tulsi are some examples of plants which have been proved beneficially in treating gynecological problems in women. Vidhania somnifera, Lawsonia inermis were used in abortificant by local people since ages. Ethnomycology, it is the study sociological impact of fungi and can considered a subfield of ethnobotany or ethnobiology. Although in theory the term includes fungi used for such purposes as medicine and food, including the yeast, it is often used in the context of study of a psychoactive mushroom such as the psilocybin containing mushroom and amanita. Ethnonarcotics, this is the study of use of narcotic snuffs, hallucinogens, sedative, etc. in primitive human societies. For example, opioid drug, also called opiate or narcotics, have been used since the beginning of recorded history. Opium is derived from the white liquid produced by the poppy plant Papaver somnifera, first cultivated in the Middle East and Asia. It was used therapeutically in ancient culture to induce calm and relief pain, and recreationally to induce euthopic dream states. Tobacco, Nicotiana tabacum, one of the main narcotic, is used for smoking and chewing. Tobacco smoking was made known for Europeans about the year 1492, having been observed by followers of Columbus when visited the western Indian island. The tobacco plants was first introduced in India by the Portuguese about the year 1605 during the later part of the regime of Akbar. Ethnopharmacology, it is the scientific study correlating ethnic group and their modes and method of creating and using medicine. As an amalgamation of social science, pharmacology, ethnopharmacological study and pharmacological aspect of a culture's medical treatment as well as its social appeal, including taste, symbology and religious context. Through this, a culture exposure to pharmacological substances can be determined. Ethnotoxicology, it deals with various toxic plants used as fish poison, arrow poison, etc. Poisonous plant contain powerful toxic ingredient, or we can say the phytochemicals, which if introduced into the body of any animal system may be of relatively smaller quantity with affect the deleteriously and may be fatal at time. Aloe barbendis, Datura, Euphorbia pulcherrima, Jatropha curcus, Lantana camera, Ricinus communis. These are the examples of toxic plant which have been used by ancient people from time immemorial. So, viewers, we will continue this lecture after a short break.